Welcome back to 23-Minute Reads with me, Mya D. This is kind of like my virtual book club because in these 5 minute or so videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current reading. Right now, that is The Dance Claimed Me. As a part of my 23 to 23 challenge, I'm reading 23 minutes per day, every day, as an action of self love, as an investment into myself, and as a way of providing myself with some consistency in an ever changing world. Hoping that you will join me along in this journey by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and dropping some comments down there in that comment section so that there's an actual dialogue going on. Having in mind that while I have several decades of experience as an educator, as a curriculum writer, as a dancer, I'm not the know-all be-all for this book. I'm simply providing a space for dialogue. Well, this week I read pages 90, let me look at my notes, 97 through 150. And here are my 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1 is Israel. The quote from the book reads, "When one thinks of Israeli modern dance, one doesn't think of Primus, but of Martha Graham and the development of Bathsheba. But there was Pearl first. First to arrive, first to inspire, first to ignite a passion for a particular kind of movement expression." This quote is taken from Ahuva Anbury. It was stated earlier in the book that there was some frustration that surrounded Pearl being described only as African, as exotic, as primitive, and that none of this was inclusive of the modern dance training that she had, or the fact that she shared dance space with some of the modern dance, those go-to modern dancers that we think of, for lack of a better way of explaining it. Anbury goes on to talk about the specific way that Pearl moved and how it was different from some of the other modern dance techniques, the codified techniques, and how the young audiences of that time really connected with that form of movement and incorporated it into their own movement styles. I had the opportunity to study with Bathsheba during my graduate studies, and it feels good in my soul to know and to believe that some of the beauty and the rigor that is included in their movement style is the legacy of Pearl Primus. Takeaway number 2 is appropriate staging. Appropriate staging was something that Primus and Percival Board planned to do during their work with First African Dance Theater. The idea didn't sit well with everyone. It required the directors to travel to Ghana, identify specific dances that would be best received by Americans, and then to apply European and American concepts of staging, appropriate staging. Now, it is noted that Primus had good intentions during this time. At the same time, the language and the approach was a little problematic to some, in that there's space to read that language as saying that these dance forms in their true places, in their true format, were not appropriate or not good enough. This reminds me of a book that we read earlier, The Undergraduate Research in Dance, that described how a well-intending researcher might unintentionally hurt those around them. And how in present times, if you're working in academia, there's the IRB, the Institutional Review Board, and the CITI, the Collaborative Institutional Training Institute, that help you to align your good intentions with good behavior. Now, let's be clear. This is not to say that Primus behavior was bad, but it is to remind us that there are resources that are available to us. Takeaway number 3 is teaching. Primus was a researcher and a performer. This research included both literary research, reading from books, and lived experience. Primus was not from the African communities, but a visitor and an in-depth researcher of those communities. Students have often asked me, when do they know that it's the right time to teach some of these forms that they've learned but were not born into? And my answer is always, when you get approval from that community, when you get some type of okay from that community. Here's a quote from Primus. Before I was permitted to teach or look for possible recruits for the center, I had to prove my supremacy as a dancer by entering a contest with natives of the area. Dance is a language. Dance is moving history. You must speak the language clearly. You must know the stories before you decide to share the stories. And most of all, you need to ask permission of those people before you begin to share their stories. Well, I just shared all three of my takeaways. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope that you remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave some comments down there in that comment section of your actual thoughts about this book or about Primus. Stay blessed, spread a good word, and I'll see you soon.